The Assembly come to order. The Chief Clerk will call the roll.
Assemblywoman Anderson. Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson. Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod. Assemblywoman Black. Assemblywoman Brown May. Assemblywoman Carlton. Assemblywoman Cohen. Assemblywoman Considine. Assemblywoman Dickman.
Here.
Assemblywoman Duran. Assemblyman Ellison. Assemblyman Flores. Assemblywoman Gonzalez. Assemblywoman Gorlow. Assemblyman Hathan. Assemblywoman Hanson. Assemblywoman Hardy. Assemblywoman Howdigi. Assemblywoman Kasama. Assemblywoman Krasner. Assemblyman Levitt. Assemblywoman Martinez. Assemblywoman Marzola. Assemblyman Matthews. Assemblyman MacArthur. Assemblywoman Brittany Miller. Assemblyman C.H. Miller. Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno. Assemblywoman Wynn. Assemblyman O'Neill. Assemblyman Orentlicker. Assemblywoman Peters. Assemblyman Roberts. Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong. Assemblywoman Thomas. Assemblywoman Titus. Assemblywoman Tolles. Assemblywoman Torres. Assemblyman Watts. Assemblyman Wheeler. Assemblyman Yeager. Speaker Frierson.
Here, Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May the record reflect that all members are present.
The record shall so reflect there are 42 members present. There is a quorum. The Assembly will please rise for the prayer by Pastor Jake Musselpin of the Crossing in Las Vegas.
God of abundance, we ask for your blessing on this land. Bless us so that we can be a blessing, both individually and collectively as the state of Nevada. To this assembly, give courage, wisdom, and foresight to pave a path of flourishing for all our people and to use our resources to fulfill our obligations to our communities, to our fellow states, and to our world. Let the flourishing of Nevada be a source of joy for all its citizens and all its neighbors. Bless us today. Amen.
Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We go to Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Point of order.
Point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Point of order. The Assemblywoman from District 19 is in violation of Assembly Standing Rule 150.
Assembly Standing Rule 150 requires that members comply with the guidance of all of the CDC. All unvaccinated members must wear a face covering while in a public space, and I will most certainly put that question before the body. The question before the body is Assemblywoman Black in violation of Assembly Standing Rule 150? For that question, the Chief Clerk shall open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman.
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Thank you. And I'll also remind the body that it is a violation of our rules to not vote unless you have legal conflict of interest as determined by our legal division, which would be additional violation of the rules. So there are 26 ayes.
Excuse me,
15
Mr. Speaker. Would me voting on my own violation, I thought that would be a violation of the rules.
I
If
have
you-
not recognized the Assemblywoman. We're in the middle of a vote, and we will open and close the roll and discuss next steps. There are 26 ayes, 16 nays. The motion passes. Assemblywoman Black, the House has found you guilty of breach of Assembly Standing Rule 150. You may not vote or speak on the floor or in committee except to explain and apologize for the breach. We'll go back to our agenda. Order business 2.
Carson City, Wednesday, May 19, 2021.
Mr. Speaker.
Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to dispense with further reading of the journal and authorize the Speaker and Chief Clerk to make necessary corrections or additions.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Order business 4, reports to standing committee.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Commerce and Labor, to which was referred Senate Bill 181, has had the similar consideration and begs leave to report the same act. The recommendation do pass. And your Committee on Commerce and Labor, to which were referred Senate Bills 103, 179, 186, 190, 260, 269, has had the similar consideration and begs leave to report the same act. The recommendation and do pass as amended. And your Committee on Commerce and Labor, to which were referred Senate Bills 209, 245, 248, 327, has had the similar consideration and begs leave to report the same back. The recommendation and do pass as amended. Sandra Howdicke, Chair. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Education, to which was referred Senate Bill 354, has had the similar consideration and begs leave to report the same back. The recommendation and do pass as amended. Chairman Bill Brent Axelrod, Chair. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Government Affairs, to which were referred Senate Bills 4, 109, 222, 237, 254, 294, 360, has had the similar consideration and begs leave to report the same back. The recommendation and do pass as amended. And your Committee on Government Affairs, to which was re-referred Senate Bill 349, has had the similar consideration and begs leave to report the same back. The recommendation and do pass as amended. Edgar Flores, Chair. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Health and Human Services, to which was referred Senate Bill 5, has had the similar consideration and begs leave to report the same back. The recommendation and do pass as amended. Rochelle T. Wynn, Chair. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Judiciary, to which were referred Senate Bills 49, 369, has had the similar consideration and begs leave to report the same back with the recommendation and do pass as amended. Steve Yeager, Chair. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections, to which was referred Assembly Bill 443, has had the similar consideration and begs leave to report the same back. The recommendation and do pass as amended. Brittany Miller, Chair. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Ways and Means, to which was re-referred Assembly Bill 357, has had the similar consideration and begs leave to report the same back. The recommendation and do pass as amended. Maggie Carlton, Chair.
Before we go to order business 7, for the edification of the body should know that under our rules, members are allowed to request permission to participate on the floor from their offices. And for anyone that does not wish to comply with the rules otherwise with respect to masks, they have been made aware of the option to be able to participate from their offices if they so choose. So just so the body's aware.
Mr. Speaker, 1 minute recess.
1 minute recess, so the body knows there's been a software issue that we're going to have to reboot.
Are we going to have to pull out the chalkboard?
Mr. Hadaway did that at one time. Back in the day, that was one of his jobs, writing the bills up on the board. And Believe we're good.
The Assembly will come back to order. We'll go back to Order Business 7, messages from the Senate.
Senate Chamber, Carson City, May 19, 2021. To the Honorable the Assembly, I have the honor to inform the Honorable Body that the Senate on this day passed Senate Bills 163, 270, 649, 421, 422, 437, 446, 447, and Assembly Bills 51 and 58. And I have the honor to inform the Honorable Body that the Senate on this day amended and on this day passed as amended Assembly Bill 3, Amendment 550, Assembly Bill 7, Amendment 590, Assembly Bill 8, Amendment 497, Assembly Bill 32, Amendment 563, Assembly Bill 57, Amendment 616, Assembly Bill 66, Amendment 525, Assembly Bill 71, Amendment 651, Assembly Bill 84, Amendment 642, Assembly Bill 85, Amendment 575, Assembly Bill 86, Amendment 643, and respectfully request your Honorable Body to concur in said amendments. And I have the honor to inform the Honorable Body that the Senate on this day passed as amended Senate Bill 70, 100, 165, 175, 210, 278, 292, 295, 318, 325, 377, 380. And I have the honor to inform the Honorable Body that the Senate on this day adopted Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 11. Sherry Rodriguez, Assistant Secretary of the Senate.
Go to Order Business 8, motions, resolutions, and notices.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 6, introduced by Assemblyman O'Neill et al., Senator Keycapper et al., memorializing former Assemblyman and Senator Alan H. Glover. Whereas Alan Harney Glover was born in 1949 in Carson City, Nevada, to parents Nelson and Peggy Glover, who were both state officials in Nevada's executive branch of state government. And whereas, after receiving his Bachelor of Science degree in Public Administration with minors in History and Literature from the University of Nevada, Reno, Alan returned to Carson City where he was a private insurance agent early in his career. And whereas, at 23 years of age, Alan Glover was elected to the Nevada Assembly in 1972, where he represented Carson City and served with distinction for the next 10 years until his election to the Nevada Senate in November 1982. And whereas, in the midst of his legislative service, Allen married his wife of 38 years, Harley, eventually raising their 3 children, Kim, Jamie, and Amanda, in Carson City. And whereas, Assemblyman Glover served in the Assembly during an important period in history marked by America's bicentennial in 1976, the end to the war in Vietnam, greatly improved relations between the United States and China, and Nevada's emergence as the fastest growing state in the nation. And whereas, as a member of the Assembly, Allen Glover's service included chairmanship of 3 standing committees: the Assembly Committee on Transportation in 1973 and 1975, the Assembly Committee on Legislative Functions in 1977, and the Assembly Committee on Elections in 1981, and service on interim study committees that were indicative of his knowledge and expertise in many diverse topics. And whereas, following his service in the Assembly, Allen served 3 years in the Senate until his appointment as Carson City Recorder in 1985, which later became the elected office of Carson City Clerk Recorder, where he would continue to serve until his retirement in December 2014, becoming the longest-serving clerk in the city's history and providing the people of Nevada and his community a total of 42 years of quality elective service. And whereas Allen Glover was devoted to the Carson City community, becoming an active member of the Knights of Columbus and the Rotary Club, and serving as Rotary president in 1997 and 1998. And whereas Allen Glover was honored in November 2011 when the First Judicial District Court appointed him to serve as one of 3 special masters who prepared a nonpartisan plan of redistricting for the state, which he considered one of the accomplishments he was most proud of, a plan that remains in effect today. And whereas in 2015, Allen Glover was added to the Assembly Wall of Distinction for his dedicated service to the Assembly and as a highly respected elected public officer in this state. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Assembly of the State of Nevada, the Senate concurring, that the members of the 81st session of the Nevada Legislature hereby extend their deepest condolences to Allen's beloved wife Harley, his daughters Kim, Jamie, and Amanda, and the many members of his extended family. And be it further resolved that the Chief Clerk of the Assembly prepare and transmit a copy of this resolution to Harley Glover, loving wife of Allen Glover. And be it further resolved that this resolution becomes effective upon adoption. End of resolution.
Assemblyman O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the Assembly adopt Assembly Concurrent Resolution Number 6.
Assemblyman O'Neill has moved the adoption of Assembly Concurrent Resolution Number 6. Remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the resolution says it all, and for brevity's sake, I will say this. Mr. Glover definitely was a representative in his leadership and commitment to Nevada, to his community, and to his family. I ask the Assembly body to approve and vote unanimously for the resolution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Further remarks? Assemblyman Wheeler. Can we go into a recess?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, if we could go into recess for the purpose of allowing a non-member to speak.
We will be in a brief recess. Mr. Kramer, it's good to see you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. I speak because Allen Glover was my oldest, dearest friend. We became friends at 3 and 4 years old. That's 69 years we were friends. Allen was a really popular guy in Carson City. It mentions there that he became an assemblyman at age 23. What it doesn't say that he was still in college when he started campaigning to run for the state assembly. And he got his fraternity brothers to come to Carson City and pass out flyers the day before the election. And as I recall, one of them got bit by a dog doing so Allen ended up paying for that for quite some time. But Allen was a guy of high integrity. He's a very loyal guy. He remembered, favors owed and favors given, a real asset for Nevada. I could talk about him for a long time, but I just want to say, in honor for Allen Glover, I'm glad this resolution came forward. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. The Assembly will come back to order. All those in favor of adopting Assembly Concurrent Resolution Number 6, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The resolution is adopted. Order immediately transmitted to the Senate. Assemblyman O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order Business 15, please.
Order Business 15.
It is with pleasure that I'd like now to introduce to the body Mr. Glover's wife, Harley Glover. If you'd stand, please. I'd also like to say probably several of us already know her from her time she spent here working at the legislature. And then also Mr. Kramer, my former assemblyman who has given me this seat now. If you would please, and if I may, I'd like...
We'll stand at ease while our guests make their way to the Senate. Assembly will come back to order. We do have another resolution that's coming over from the Senate, and we will go back to Order Business 8 to adopt once that gets here. So for now, we go to Order Business 9, introduction, first reading, and reference. Oh, we have still Order Business 8. We have another one?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 11,
Oh, yeah.
introduced by the Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections, creating a joint committee, special committee to conduct a study concerning innovation zones. This is on the resolution file for introduction and referral.
Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that SCR 11 be referred to your Committee on Revenue.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now we'll go to Order Business 9, introduction, first reading, and reference bill.
Assembly Bill 485. Introduced by the Committee on Ways and Means, an act relating to emergency management, transferring the Division of Emergency Management and its powers and duties from the Department of Public Safety to the Office of the Military, granting the Adjutant General of the Office of the Military authority over Division of Emergency Management. What? I need to find this bill. Assembly Bill 485, introduced by the Committee on Ways and Means and act relating to emergency management. Transferring the Division of Emergency Management and its powers and duties from the Department of Public Safety to the Office of the Military, granting the Adjutant General of the Office of the Military authority over the Division of Emergency Management, revising provisions governing the Adjutant General of the Office of the Military and providing other matters appropriately relating thereto. Assembly Bill 486, introduced by the Committee on Ways and Means and act relating to property, defining certain terms temporarily requiring a court to stay certain proceedings for eviction under certain circumstances where a tenant who has defaulted in the payment of rent has a pending application for rental assistance, establishing procedures relating to certain claims for wrongful eviction, temporarily expanding the circumstances under which a court is required to stay proceedings for eviction in order to facilitate alternative dispute resolution, requiring notices for certain proceedings for eviction to contain certain information, establishing temporary procedures relating to the provision of rental assistance to certain landlords of single-family residences with at least one tenant who has defaulted in the payment of rent, requiring the disbursement of certain federal money in certain circumstances relating to a rental assistance, providing a civil penalty, and providing other matters properly in there too. Senate Bill 70, introduced by the Committee on Health and Human Services, an act relating to mental health, revising provisions governing the use of chemical restraints on persons with disabilities, establishing the procedures for placing a person on and releasing a person from a mental health crisis hold, revising provisions governing the emergency admission of a person to a mental health facility or hospital, revising provisions governing involuntary court-ordered admission to a mental health facility and assisted outpatient treatment, and providing other matters properly in there too. Senate Bill 100, introduced by Senator Seavers-Gansert, an act relating to physical therapy, enacting and entering into the physical therapy licensure compact, and providing other matters properly in there too. Senate Bill 163, introduced by Senator Spearman, an act relating to special license plates, providing for the issuance of special license plates to support the Divine Nine organizations, imposing a fee for the issuance and renewal of such license plates, and providing other matters properly in there too. Senate Bill 165, introduced by Senator Keycapper, an act relating to sporting events, establishing the esports Technical Advisory Committee, requiring the Nevada Gaming Control Board to appoint the members of the committee, authorizing the committee to make certain recommendations to the board relating to esports, authorizing the board to adopt regulations relating to the recommendations of the committee, and providing other matters properly in there too. Senate Bill 175, introduced by Senator Neal, an act relating to public health, requiring the chief medical officer to establish and maintain a system for the reporting and analysis of certain information on lupus and its variants, authorizing administrative penalties for the failure to report certain information, requiring the Division of Public and Behavioral Health of the Department of Health and Human Services to report certain information on lupus and its variants, making an appropriation, and providing other matters properly in there too. Senate Bill 210, introduced by Senator Don Daraloop, an act relating to child welfare, requiring the development of a plan for the education of certain children admitted by a court to a psychiatric hospital or facility which provides residential treatment for mental illness, requiring a school district providing services to such a child to submit certain programs and plans to the psychiatric hospital, requiring a school district providing services to a child admitted to a facility which provides residential treatment for mental illness to monitor the progress and participate in transition planning for the child, requiring a school district providing services to a child who is admitted to a facility which provides residential treatment for mental illness to convene certain meetings before the admission of the child to the facility, requiring the Department of Education to adopt regulations relating to the transition from a facility which provides residential treatment for mental illness to a school or other educational setting after discharge, and providing other matters properly in there too. Senate Bill 276, introduced by Senator Dennis, an act relating to real estate, imposing a technology fee for the issuance or renewal of certain licenses, certificates, permits, and registrations issued by the Real Estate Division of the Department of Business and Industry, prescribing requirements governing the use of money collected from the fee, and providing other matters properly in there too. Senate Bill 278, introduced by Senator Settlemeyer, an act relating to taxation, defining wholesale sale for the purposes of provisions imposing a tax on wholesale sales of cannabis to exclude certain transfers of cannabis between cannabis cultivation facilities that share identical ownership, and providing other matters properly in there too. Senate Bill 292, introduced by Senator Lang, an act relating to public office, requiring a ballot in the general election to have an option to vote a straight ticket for partisan races, revising the qualification requirements for a minor political party, revising the deadline to challenge the qualification of a minor political party, revising provisions for filling a vacancy in the office of United States Senator, Representative in Congress, or state legislator, repealing various provisions relating to major political parties, and providing other matters properly in there too. Senate Bill 295, introduced by Senator Cannizzaro, an act relating to industrial insurance, prohibiting the termination or elimination of compensation paid to certain injured employees for a permanent total disability on the basis that the injured employee earns income, and providing other matters properly in there too. Senate Bill 318, introduced by Senators Doñate et al., Assemblyman Flores et al., an act relating to public health, requiring the Division of Public and Behavioral Health at the Department of Health and Human Services in each district health department to take certain actions to ensure the availability of services to restrain the spread of COVID-19 to persons of limited English proficiency, requiring each agency of the executive department of the state government to develop a language access plan, requiring such an agency to make recommendations to the legislature concerning the language access plan and include in the budget of the agency funds necessary to carry out the language access plan and providing other means properly named thereto. Senate Bill 325, introduced by Senator Settlemeyer, enacting healthcare, requiring the State Board of Pharmacy to prescribe a protocol authorizing a pharmacist to prescribe and dispense drugs to prevent the acquisition of human immunodeficiency virus and perform certain laboratory tests, requiring certain health plans to include coverage for such drugs and testing and providing other measures properly named thereto. Senate Bill 377, introduced by the Committee on Health and Human Services, enacting to the protection of children, revising provisions relating to the funding of the Adoption Assistance Program and providing other measures properly named thereto. Senate Bill 380, introduced by the Committee on Health and Human Services, enacting to prescription drugs, expanding the information that is reported under the Program for Tracking and Reporting of Information concerning the pricing of prescription drugs, requiring wholesalers to make a report, requiring certain reporting entities to affirm the accuracy of the information in the reports, revising the requirements concerning the report of the Department of Health and Human Services on the pricing of prescription drugs, revising the authorized uses of certain administrative penalties, excluding certain information from protection as a trade secret, requiring an individual health insurer to publish notice if certain drugs are removed from its formulary, and providing other measures properly named thereto. Senate Bill 409, introduced by the Committee on Finance, enacting to state government, requiring the Division of Human Resource Management and the Department of Administration to charge an annual fee to the Executive Department related to collective bargaining for state employees, and providing other measures properly named thereto. Senate Bill 421, introduced by the Committee on Finance, enacting to the Office of Science, Innovation, and Technology and the Office of the Governor, revising the status of the Director of the Office from employment in the non-classified service of the state to employment in the unclassified service of the state, and providing other measures properly named thereto. Senate Bill 422, introduced by the Committee on Finance, enacting to governmental administration, creating the Mail Services Division in the Department of Administration, revising provisions relating to the Department's Communication Fund, transferring the responsibility for establishing and conducting a central mail room from the Division of State Library Archives and Public Records of the Department to the Mail Services Division of the Department, and providing other measures properly named thereto. Senate Bill 437, introduced by the Committee on Finance, enacting to justice courts, increasing the fee charge for certain actions and proceedings in justice courts, and providing other measures properly named thereto. Senate Bill 446, introduced by the Committee on Finance, enacting to education, removing the Office of the Western Regional Education Compact from the Office of the Governor, revising provisions relating to the administration of the office, and providing other measures properly named thereto. Senate Bill 447, introduced by the Committee on Finance, enacting to deceptive trade practices, eliminating the Consumer Affairs Division of the Department of Business and Industry, and making the temporary Consumer Affairs Unit created in the Department permanent, and providing other measures properly named thereto.
Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to first do Assembly Bill 46, so I move that Assembly Bill 486 be referred to your Committee on Ways and Means.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that all bills, except Bill Assembly 486, be referred to the committees as shown on Assembly and Bill introductions dated May 20th, 2021, of which all members have a copy of on their desk.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We can go now to order business. Do we have the resolution yet? Okay, we have a message from the Senate and the resolution, so we will go back to order business 7 and then 8.
Senate Chamber, Carson City, May 20, 2021, to the Honorable the Assembly. I have the honor to inform your Honorable Body that the Senate and the State adopted Senate Concurrent Resolution 12, Sherry Rodriguez, Assistant Secretary of the Senate.
And now go to order business 8.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 12. Senate Concurrent Resolution 12, introduced by Senators Dennis et al., Assemblyman Yeager et al., celebrating the sister state relationship between the state of Nevada and Taiwan, which continues to enhance trade, educational, and cultural relations. Whereas the state of Nevada is proud of the sister state relationship that it has enjoyed with Taiwan since 1985, which has been greatly strengthened through the efforts of the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in San Francisco. And whereas this important relationship shared by the United States and Taiwan is underlain by common values, including freedom, democracy, rule of law, and a free market economy. And whereas over 30,000 Taiwanese citizens currently reside in Nevada and have enriched our communities while sharing their great culture and enhancing ours. And whereas the Asia-Pacific region is the largest market in the world for American exports and many Nevada exports, and Taiwan is one of the largest trading partners in the world, with Nevada exporting more than $128 million in goods and services to Taiwan and importing over $836 million in goods and services from Taiwan in 2020. And whereas the United States ranks as Taiwan's second largest trading partner, and Taiwan ranks as the 10th largest trading partner of the United States, with approximately $103.9 billion in goods and services traded in 2020. And whereas the United States and Taiwan have steadily strengthened their economic, security, educational, and cultural ties through the passage of the Taiwan Travel Act and the Taiwan Allies International Protection and Enhancement Initiative Taipei Act. And whereas on May 12, 2020, Nevada First Lady Kathleen Sisolak presented a certificate of recognition for the donation of 30,000 medical masks for Nevada's healthcare providers from the citizens of Taiwan. And whereas Taiwan has some of the world's leading experts in combating worldwide diseases and has undertaken a policy of steadfast diplomacy in its international relations and is capable of and willing to fulfill its responsibilities and to collaborate with the world to deal with the challenges of worldwide humanitarian and disease control. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the State of Nevada, the Assembly concurring, that the members of the Nevada Legislature on behalf of the people of Nevada reaffirm the sister state relationship of the State of Nevada and Taiwan as a source of great pride for the State of Nevada, which continues to enhance trade, educational, and cultural relations. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Senate prepare and transmit a copy of this resolution to United States Secretary of State Antony J. Blinken, the members of the Nevada Congressional Delegation, Governor Steve Sisolak, and Director General Ming Chi Scott Lee of the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in San Francisco, and be it further resolved that this resolution becomes effective upon adoption. End of resolution.
Senator Yeager.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the Assembly adopt Senate Concurrent Resolution 12.
Assemblyman Yeager has moved that the Assembly adopt the Senate Concurrent Resolution number 12. Remarks. Assemblyman Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order Business 15.
Order Business 15.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask that this body adopt a Senate Concurrent Resolution 12. I was lucky enough a few years ago to go with many members of this body, actually most of them former members now, to Taiwan on a trade mission. And the relationship between Taiwan and Nevada has been a wonderful relationship. We are back and forth. As a matter of fact, the city of Reno even has a sister city, Sichuan, in Taiwan, where cultural and trade happens all the time. I would ask that everyone it be a unanimous vote.
Thank you. There being no further remarks, all those in favor of the Assembly adopting Assembly Concurrent Resolution number 12, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. This resolution is adopted. Order immediately transmitted to the Senate. Can you get a 1 minute recess?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, 1 minute recess.
The Assembly will come back to order. Where were we? We're going back to order business 12, general file.
Assembly Bill 116, introduced by Assemblyman Wynn et al., Senators Canizaro et al. An act relating to vehicles establishing civil penalties for certain traffic and related violations, defining certain traffic and vehicle violations as misdemeanors, creating procedures for civil infractions for traffic and related violations to be adjudicated, making an appropriation, and providing other matters properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 81, end of Section 81, end of bill.
All right, members of Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
There are none.
Remarks? Assemblywoman Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Assembly Bill 116 decriminalizes certain minor traffic violations and also establishes procedures for civil infractions for traffic and related violations and how they would be adjudicated.
Any further remarks? There being none, Chief Clerk, open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, order business 1.
Order business 1.
May the record reflect that Assemblywoman Gonzalez and Assemblyman MacArthur are absent.
Records shall so reflect. Do we hear what Assemblywoman Dickman's vote was?
Assemblywoman Dickman, what is your vote on Assembly Bill 116?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 38 ayes, 1 nay, 2 absent. Excuse the bill. I'm seeing the constitutional majority. Declare passed. Order transmitted to Senate.
Assembly Bill 358, introduced by Assemblyman Frierson. An act relating to Medicaid requiring the suspension rather than termination of eligibility for Medicaid of a person who is incarcerated, authorizing a person who is incarcerated in certain circumstances to apply for enrollment in Medicaid before he or she is released, revising the requirement for the Director of the Department of Corrections to complete the paperwork to enroll such a person in Medicaid, making an appropriation, and providing other matters properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 4, end of Section 4, end of bill.
Are any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Assemblywoman Marom. Assembly.
Mr. Speaker, order business 1.
Order business 1.
May the record reflect that Assemblyman MacArthur and Assemblywoman Gonzalez are present.
The record shall so reflect. We'll go back to Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Assembly Bill 358, as amended, requires suspension rather than termination of eligibility of Medicaid of a person who is incarcerated. The bill would authorize a person who is incarcerated in certain circumstances to apply for enrollment in Medicaid before he or she is released. In addition, the bill requires the Director of the Department of Corrections to complete the paperwork to enroll such a person in Medicaid.
Any further remarks? There being none, Chief Clerk, open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes on Assembly Bill 358.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 39 ayes, 2 nays. Bill MC, the constitutional majority, declare passed and order transmitted to Senate.
Assembly Bill 365, introduced by Assemblyman Peters et al., an act relating to governmental administration declaring the policy of the state that persons employed by the state be afforded respect, dignity, and equity in the workplace, requiring the departments of the state government to prepare and submit a report concerning equity in the workplace annually, requiring the administrator of the Division of Human Resource Management of the Department of Administration to evaluate annually the effectiveness of any policy intended to encourage equity in the workforce and prepare and submit a report concerning the evaluation, requiring certain regulations adopted by the Personnel Commission of the Division to include requirements for the training of supervisors and managerial employees concerning implicit bias, and providing other matters properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 10, end of Section 10, end of bill.
Are there members of Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Assemblywoman Howdy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Assembly Bill 365, as amended, declares the policy of the state that persons employed by the state be afforded respect, dignity, and equity in the workplace. The bill requires the departments of the state government to prepare and submit a report concerning equity in the workplace annually, and the administrator of the Division of Human Resource Management of the Department of Administration to evaluate annually the effectiveness of any policy intended to encourage equity in the workforce.
Any further remarks? There being none, Chief Clerk, open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Any motion to change their vote? There are 31 ayes, 10 nays. Bill to the Constitutional majority. Declare passed and order transmitted to Senate.
Assembly Bill 393, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary and Accolade in Criminal Justice, requiring the Executive Director of the Department of Sentencing Policy to assist the Nevada Sentencing Commission in carrying out certain duties, revising provisions relating to certain reports prepared by the Commission, authorizing the Commission to adopt qualifications for members of the Nevada Local Justice Reinvestment Coordinating Council, revising provisions concerning reports of pre-sentence investigations, revising provisions relating to parolees and probationers, removing and replacing certain obsolete terminology, revising provisions concerning embezzlement of a vehicle and certain marijuana-related offenses, repealing provisions relating to inquiries to determine probable cause when a probationer is in custody or a violation of a condition of probation, repealing provisions requiring the Chief Parole and Probation Officer of the Division of Parole and Probation of the Department of Public Safety to adopt standards to assist in formulating a recommendation concerning the granting of probation or the revocation of parole or probation, providing penalties, making an appropriation, and providing other matters properly thereto. The people's state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 36, end of Section 36, end of bill.
On the amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
There are none.
Assemblywoman Nguyen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Assembly Bill 393 requires the Executive Director of the Department of Sentencing Policy to assist the Nevada Sentencing Commission in carrying out the requirements related to the use of the formula to calculate the amount of costs avoided by the state each fiscal year as a result of the enactment of Assembly Bill 236 during the 2019 legislative session. Additionally, the bill makes various changes related to criminal law and criminal procedure. That's all.
Any further remarks? There being none, Chief Clerk, open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 41 ayes, 0 nays. Bill the Constitutional majority. Declare passed and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 6, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary and Accolade in Public Safety, replacing the term ex parte order with emergency order, making various changes relating to applications for and the issuance of orders for protection against high-risk behavior, revising the persons to whom an adverse party must surrender firearms, requiring a court to order the return of any surrendered firearm of an adverse party upon the expiration of an extended order for protection against high-risk behavior, revising provisions relating to the dissolution of orders for protection against high-risk behavior, eliminating the requirement for a court clerk or designee to provide assistance to certain persons relating to such orders, and providing other matters properly thereto. The people's state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 21, end of Section 21, end of bill.
On the amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
There are none.
Remarks, Assemblywoman Bilber Axelrod.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Excuse me. Senate Bill 6 makes various changes to provisions governing orders for protection against high-risk behavior. Among other things, the bill replaces the term ex parte order with emergency order, revises various procedures and requirements associated with filing an application for an order of protection against high-risk behavior, establishes various procedures relating to hearings on an application for an order of protection, removes the custody of a firearm for the list of factors a court may consider in finding whether a person poses risk or imminent risk of causing self-inflicted injury or injuring another person, revises persons who to whom an adverse party must surrender firearms, requires court to order the return of any surrendered firearms from an adverse party upon the expiration of the extended order for protection, revises provisions relating to the dissolution of orders for protection, eliminates the requirements for court clerks or designees to assist certain persons relating to orders of protection, requires the appropriate law enforcement agency to serve with the adverse party personally with the application and any supplemental documents that were supported in the court. And finally, authorizes the court to order such documents to be redacted and maintained in a separate confidential file of the court and may be made available to the adverse party to inspect and copy or photograph prior to the hearing.
Any further remarks? There being none, Chief Clerk, open the room.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote? Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 6? Assemblywoman
It's a
Dickman?
no.
Mr. Speaker, order business 1.
Order business 1.
May the record reflect that Assemblywoman Dickman is absent.
Record shall so reflect.
Why is he recording my vote?
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 29 ayes, 11 nays, 1 absent excused. Bill, I'm seeing the Constitutional majority. Declare passed. Order transmitted Senate.
BPS, could you please mute Assemblywoman Dickman? Thank you. Senate Bill 7, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary. An act relating to courts providing that the district court has exclusive jurisdiction of the issuance and dissolution of certain orders for protection where the adverse party is a child under 18 years of age, providing that the juvenile court has exclusive jurisdiction over actions relating to the violation of certain orders for protection where the adverse party is a child under 18 years of age, establishing procedures relating to orders, declaring that the basis no longer exists for certain orders for protection be transmitted to the Central Repository for Nevada Records of Criminal History if the adverse party is a child under 18 years of age, and providing other matters properly laying thereto, the people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 3, end of Section 3, end of bill.
How many members? Section 1 of the bill go home.
There are none.
Remarks. Assemblywoman Nguyen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 7 provides that the district court has exclusive jurisdiction over any action related to the issuance or dissolution of an order for protection against domestic violence, workplace harassment, high-risk behavior, sexual assault, stalking, aggravated stalking, or assault against a child who is under 18 years of age. However, the juvenile court has exclusive jurisdiction over any action where it is alleged that a child has committed a delinquent act by violating such order. And if such order is sought against a child, the district court is required to appoint counsel to that child who is the adverse party.
Any further remarks? There being none, Chief, hold on. Can we check and see if Assemblywoman Dickman is back?
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill
Yes.
7?
That was a yes.
Okay. Do we already order business 1 to have her back?
Order business 1. May the record reflect that Assemblywoman Dickman is present.
Record shall so reflect. So, Chief Clerk, open the room.
Assemblywoman Dickman, did you vote on Senate Bill 7? I didn't hear. Did she say yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes. We're going to have to redo the vote. There's 2 people that haven't voted. Mr. Watts?
Yeah.
Sometimes if you change your vote and then change it back that term, that. Oh, no, it's off now. Our lights are all off, I think. There we go. We have to reopen. Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 41 ayes, 0 nays. Bill having received the Constitutional majority, declare passed. Order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 21, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, an act relating to the protection of children, revising requirements relating to background investigations for certain applicants for employment with and employees of certain institutions, agencies, and facilities that serve children, and providing other matters properly thereto. The people's state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 7, end of Section 7, end of bill.
Are any members of Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks. Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 21 revises and standardizes the specified crimes that are authorized or required to deny an application for employment or to terminate employment of a current employee of public or private institutions and agencies to which a juvenile court commits a child, and certain facilities that provide residential mental health treatment to children. These entities shall also determine whether an employee has criminal charges pending against him or her for a specified crime and may terminate the employee if such charges are pending.
Any further remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no on a Senate Bill 21.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 26 ayes, 15 nays. Bill received the Constitutional majority, declare passed, and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 37, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs, and act relating to district attorneys, revising certain provisions relating to the process by which a district attorney may request assistance in criminal cases from the Office of Attorney General, and providing other matters properly thereto. The people's state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, end of bill.
Are any members of Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
I believe Assemblywoman Dickman had indicated she had a floor statement. Assemblywoman Dickman?
Correct. Senate Bill 37 provides that a district attorney is not required to, 1, present the reasons for requesting the presence of the Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, or Special Investigator to provide assistance in criminal cases to the Board of County Commissioners of his or her county, or 2, have the board adopt a resolution joining in the request unless the Attorney General intends to seek reimbursement for any expenses incurred in providing assistance to the district attorney.
Any further remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, what is your vote on Senate Bill 37?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes. on
Anyone
Senate
wishing
Bill
to change their
37.
vote? Sorry. Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 40 ayes, 1 nay. The bill has received the Constitutional majority, declare passed, and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 38, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs, and act relating to legal services, establishing certain provisions applicable to pro bono contracts for legal services entered into by the Attorney General or any other officer, agency, or employee in the Executive Department of State Government, requiring the Attorney General to prepare and submit an annual report concerning such contracts, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. The people's state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 17, end of Section 17, end of bill.
Are any members of Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks, Assemblywoman Brown-May.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 38 authorizes the Attorney General or any other officer, agency, or employee of the Executive Department to enter into a pro bono contract with an attorney or law firm engaged in private practice for legal services if the Attorney General determines that the provision of such legal services is necessary.
Any further remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 38?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 26 ayes, 15 nays. The bill has received the Constitutional majority, declare passed, and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 43, introduced by the Committee on Natural Resources and Outdoor Recreation, increasing the membership of the Advisory Board on Outdoor Recreation and providing other matters properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 2, end of Section 2, end of bill.
Any members of Section 1 on the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks, Assemblywoman Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 43 expands the membership of the Advisory Board on Outdoor Recreation by adding 1 voting member and 2 non-voting members. The voting member is to be appointed by the governor from a list of nominees submitted by the Board of Directors of the Nevada Association of Counties. The 2 non-voting members must be representatives of the U.S. Department of the Interior and the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Thank you, Speaker.
Any further remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 43?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 39 ayes, 2 nays. Bill MC, the constitutional majority, declare passed and order transmitted Senate.
Senate Bill 45, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs and Activating Crimes, changing the name and duties of the Ombudsman for Victims of Domestic Violence, changing the duties and composition of the Committee on Domestic Violence, revising the penalty for a battery which constitutes domestic violence against a pregnant person, and providing other matters properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 10, end of Section 10, end of bill.
Any members of Section 1 on the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Assemblywoman Kasama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 45 changes the name of the Office of Ombudsman for Victims of Domestic Violence within the Office of the Attorney General to the Office of Ombudsman for Victims of Domestic Violence, Sexual Assault, and Human Trafficking to reflect the expanded scope of the office to include the crimes of sexual assault and human trafficking, and makes conforming changes to the names, duties, and qualifications of the Ombudsman. In addition, the bill revises the composition and duties of the Committee on Domestic Violence. The bill also revises the punishment imposed upon a person convicted of a first offense of domestic violence against a pregnant victim to require that the offender be imprisoned in county jail for not less than 20 days and may be further punished by a fine of between $500 and $1,000.
Any further remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 45?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 41 ayes, 0 nays. Bill MC, the constitutional majority, declare passed and order transmitted Senate.
Senate Bill 46, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs and Act relating to the Office of Attorney General, authorizing certain employees of the Office of the Attorney General to request that certain personal information be kept in a confidential manner, authorizing such person to request the Department of Motor Vehicles to display an alternate address on his or her driver's license, commercial driver's license, or identification card, designating certain vehicles owned and operated by the Office of the Attorney General as emergency vehicles, and providing elements properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 5, end of Section 5, end of bill.
Are there members of Section 1 on the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks, Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 46 authorizes any person employed by the Office of the Attorney General who prosecutes or defends actions on behalf of the state of Nevada or the executive branch to obtain a court order to require a county assessor, county recorder, secretary of state, or a city or county clerk to maintain personal information contained in their records in a confidential manner. In addition, SB 46 authorizes certain other duties to those employed by the Office of the Attorney General.
Any further remarks? I believe Assemblywoman Dickman.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Order of Business 15.
Order Business 15.
I'm speaking in opposition today to SB 46. While I fully support the idea that confidentiality should be afforded to those who promote public safety and protect us every day, however, I categorically reject the notion that we should offer that confidentiality to some over others for political purposes. Law enforcement who protect our neighborhoods, schools, highways, and businesses deserve the same protection for themselves and their families. I offered an amendment to this bill that would have resolved this disparity, but was rejected by the sponsor and the committee. There are officers in my district who have been harassed and threatened at their homes where their children live. Those who protect us every day should have some level of comfort knowing that their families and homes will not be attacked while they are protecting our families and homes. For those reasons, I will be voting no, and I encourage my colleagues to do the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any further remarks? There being none, Chief Clerk, open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted nay.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 33 ayes, 8 nays. Be able to see the constitutional majority. Declare passed and order transmitted to Senate. Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order business 8.
Order business 8.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that all rules be suspended. Reading so far had considered first or second reading as appropriate, and all measures reported out of committee without second reading be declared emergency measures under the Constitution and placed on general file and third reading.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Nay.
Mr. Speaker, order business 8.
Order business 8.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that all bills reported out of committee with amendment be placed at the top of general file and third reading.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Nay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order business 8.
Order business 8.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to dispense with reprinting of all measures.
You've heard that motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion carries. We go back to order business 12.
And Mr. Speaker, if we could take a quick 1-minute recess, we'll allow a couple members to excuse themselves and we'll allow the board to reshuffle.
1 minute recess, and then we'll do order business 1 after their task. Are we ready to come back to order? The Assembly will come back to order. Go to order business 1.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under order business 1, may the record reflect that Assemblyman Yeager, Assemblyman Roberts, Assemblyman MacArthur, Assemblywoman Howdigy, Assemblywoman Marzola, Assemblyman Wheeler, Undue, Assemblywoman Marzola are absent, excused. And Assemblyman O'Neill.
Are we, I'm concerned about order business 12, depending on the number of folks not here. Oh, okay. So we'll go ahead and go to order business 12, and we'll be doing the amendments first.
That's correct. I think, are we out of recess?
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Back to order. We'll go back to order business 12, and we'll consider several bills that got put on general file for amendments.
Assembly Bill 357, introduced by Assemblyman Frierson. An act relating to consumer protection, creating the Consumer Protection Legal Fund in the Office of the Attorney General, and prescribing the use of money in the fund, creating the Consumer Protection Administrative Fund in the Bureau of Consumer Protection within the Office of the Attorney General, and prescribing the use of money in the fund, revising provisions relating to the distribution of money received from certain settlements and litigation, and providing other matters relating thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 7, end of Section 7, end of bill.
Are the amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
Amendment 672, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Ways and Means.
Assemblywoman Carlton is handling the amendment. Assemblywoman Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to adopt Amendment Number 672 to Assembly Bill 357.
Assemblywoman Carlton has moved that the Assembly adopt Amendment 672 to Assembly Bill 357. Remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It changes the fund to an account and allows money from the Consumer Protection Legal Account to go to certain legal aid organizations in the state and requires the deposit of the money for settlements and litigation into the Consumer Protection Administration account, and provides that any balance of more than $500,000 in the account at the end of the fiscal year reverts to the Consumer Protection Legal Account.
Thank you. Assemblywoman Considine.
Thank you, Speaker. I would like to disclose that I am employed as an attorney at the Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada, and Section 3 of Assembly Bill Number 357 would direct a certain percentage of the money in the Consumer Protection Legal Fund created by the bill to my employer as well as to Nevada Legal Services and Washoe Legal Services. Because this provision has a direct and distinctive impact on my employer, I am hereby making this disclosure for the purposes of Assembly Rule Number 23 and will abstain from voting on Assembly Bill Number 357.
Thank you very much. And if we can go to Order Business 1 and reflect that Assemblyman O'Neill's present.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May the record reflect that Assemblyman O'Neill is present.
The record shall so reflect. Any further remarks on Assembly Bill 357, on the amendment rather? All those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 672 to Assembly Bill 357 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bill's ordered general fund.
Assembly Bill 443, introduced by the Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections, and relating to the legislature, providing for the creation of joint interim standing committees of the legislature, specifying the powers and duties of joint interim standing committees, repealing various statutory committees, repealing the Advisory Commission on the Administration of Justice and the Subcommittee of the Advisory Commission, reassigning certain powers and duties of repealed statutory committees and the Advisory Commission on the joint interim standing committees, making various other changes relating to legislative activity during the interim between regular sessions of the legislature, and providing otherwise properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 56, end of Section 56, end of bill.
All amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
I have Amendment 596, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections.
Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to adopt Amendment 596 to Assembly Bill 443.
Assemblywoman Miller has moved the Assembly adopt Amendment 596 to Assembly Bill 443. Remarks?
Yes, the amendment will require that the Standing Interim Committee on Judiciary have an additional 5 bill draft requests earmarked specifically for juvenile justice issues. Also, that the Standing Interim Committee on Health and Human Services has an additional 5 BDRs for child welfare issues, and that the Joint Interim Standing Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections considers issues relating to governmental purchasing.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 596 to Assembly Bill 443 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
The bill's ordered general file. Can you go to Order Business 1?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May the record reflect that Assemblyman Wheeler, Assemblyman Ellison, and Assemblyman MacArthur? May the record reflect that they are present.
The record shall so reflect. We go back to Order Business 12.
Senate Bill 4, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs and Act relating to fireworks, advising provisions governing the authority of a Board of County Commissioners to enact certain ordinances relating to fireworks and providing other matters properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 3, end of Section 3, end of bill.
All amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
I have Amendment 638, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs.
Assemblyman Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Amendment 638 to Senate Bill 4.
Assemblyman Flores moved the Assembly adopt Amendment 638 to Senate Bill 4. Remarks?
The amendment adds tiered penalties based on the amount of illegal fireworks in possession.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopt Amendment 638 to Senate Bill 4 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bill's ordered general fund.
Senate Bill 5, introduced by the Committee on Health and Human Services and Act relating to health care, requiring the Department of Health and Human Services to establish an electronic tool to analyze certain data concerning access to telehealth, requiring certain entities to review access to services provided through telehealth and evaluate policies to make such access more equitable, revising provisions governing services provided through telehealth and insurance coverage of such services, and providing other matters properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 17, end of Section 17, end of bill.
On amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
I have Amendment 608, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Health and Human Services.
Assemblywoman Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to adopt Amendment 608 to Senate Bill 5.
Assemblywoman Wynn has moved the Assembly adopt Amendment 608 to Senate Bill 5. Remarks?
Amendment 608 revises the payment parity requirements for telehealth services throughout the bill to expire 1 year after the date on which the public health emergency related to COVID-19 is terminated, but no later than June 30th, 2023, except for mental health services, which expires on June 30th, 2023.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the assembly adopting Amendment 608, Senate Bill 5, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bill's order general file.
Senate Bill 49, introduced by the Committee on Health and Human Services and relating to cannabis, authorizing the Cannabis Compliance Board to employ the services of persons the board considers necessary for the purposes of hearing disciplinary proceedings, authorizing the Executive Director of the board to serve a complaint on a respondent who is subject to a disciplinary proceeding, authorizing the Chair of the board to grant one or more extensions up to certain deadlines for holding a hearing, removing authorization for the board to take testimony by deposition in hearings before the board, revising provisions governing the regulatory waiver to the registration requirement for holders of an ownership interest of less than 5% in a cannabis establishment, changing the labeling requirement for cannabis products and providing other matters properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 4, end of Section 4, end of bill.
Any members of Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
I have Amendment 535, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Judiciary.
Assemblywoman Benitez-Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the Assembly adopt Amendment 535 to Senate Bill 49.
Assemblywoman Benitez-Thompson move the assembly adopt Amendment 535 to Senate Bill 49. Remarks?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, this amendment does the following. First, it adds a new definition of synthetic cannabinoid to the statute. Second, it provides that a person is prohibited from producing, distributing, or selling synthetic cannabinoid. And 3, it revises several definitions, including the definition of marijuana, THC, and hemp.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the assembly adopting Amendment 535 to Senate Bill 49 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bill's order general file.
Senate Bill 103, introduced by Senator Scheibel et al., an act relating to insurance prohibiting certain insurers from discriminating based on the breed of dog at an applicable property and providing other matters properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 2, end of Section 2, end of bill.
Any members of Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
I have Amendment 564, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Assemblywoman Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Amendment 564 to Senate Bill 103.
Assemblywoman Carlton move the assembly adopt Amendment 564 to Senate Bill 103. Remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It moves the effective date to January 1st of 2022.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the assembly adopting Amendment 564 to Senate Bill 103 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Motion carries. Amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bill's order general file.
Senate Bill 109.
Mr. Speaker,
Assemblywoman Benitez-Thompson.
Order Business 8.
Order Business 8.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that actually, I'm ahead of myself, so this is good. I move that Senate Bill 190 be taken from general file and be placed onto the chief clerk's desk for purposes of amending the potential amendment.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Assemblywoman Benitez-Thompson, you have another?
Mr. Speaker, I move to rescind the motion by which I just placed Assembly Bill 190 on the chief clerk's desk.
You've heard that motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order Business 8.
Order Business 8.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Senate Bill 109 be taken from its place on general file and be placed on the chief clerk's desk.
You've heard that motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Go back to Order Business 12.
Senate Bill 179, introduced by the Committee on Commerce and Labor, an act relating to interpreters, revising the activities for which registration as an interpreter or real-time captioning provider is required, revising the requirements and professional classifications for registration as an interpreter or real-time captioning provider, providing for the establishment of qualifications to serve as a professional mentor and additional professional classifications in the field of interpreting, revising certain terminology relating to interpreting and providing other matters properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 21, end of Section 21, end of bill.
All right, members of Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
I have Amendment 636, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Assemblywoman Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would move for the adoption of Amendment 636 to Senate Bill 179.
Assemblywoman Carlton has moved the assembly adopt Amendment 636 to Senate Bill 179. Remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It changes the expiration date of a provisional registration issued pursuant to Section 18 of the bill from July 1st of 2024 to July 1st of 2026.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopt Amendment 636, Senate Bill 179, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The amendments adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bills ordered general file.
Senate Bill 186, introduced by the Committee on Commerce and Labor, enacted into election agencies, requiring a collection agency to file certain annual reports regarding debts collected for a homeowners association, prohibiting a collection agency from collecting certain debts owed to certain persons related to or affiliated with an owner or of the collection agency, and providing otherwise properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 2, end of Section 2, end of bill.
Any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
I have Assembly Amendment 634 proposed by the Assembly Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Assemblywoman Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would move to adopt Amendment 634 to Senate Bill 186.
Assemblywoman Carlton moved. The Assembly adopt Amendment 634 to Senate Bill 186. Remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment prohibits certain persons from purchasing a unit in a common interest community at a foreclosure sale. It revises requirements concerning the provision of notice of a unit owners association, and it also requires certain units associations of common interest communities to establish either a website or electronic portal through which a unit's owner may access certain information effective January 1st of 2022 and pay assessments electronically effective January 1st of 2023.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopt Amendment 634 to Senate Bill 186, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The bill is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bills ordered general file.
Senate Bill 190, introduced by Senator Canizaro et al., Assemblyman Torres et al., enacting contraceptives, requiring the Chief Medical Officer to issue a standing order authorizing a pharmacist to dispense self-administered hormonal contraceptives to any patient, authorizing a pharmacist to dispense self-administered hormonal contraceptives to any patient, requiring the state plan for Medicaid and certain health insurance plans to provide certain benefits relating to self-administered hormonal contraceptives and providing the most properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 17, end of Section 17, end of bill.
Amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
There are none.
Remarks? Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to adopt Amendment 633 to Senate Bill 190.
Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson moved. The Assembly adopt Amendment 633 to Senate Bill 190. Remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The bill does the following. One, it deletes Section 8 of the bill and instead requires the State Board of Pharmacy to adopt certain regulations establishing a protocol to allow pharmacists to dispense a self-administered hormonal contraceptive to any patient. And B, adds Assemblywoman Considine as a co-sponsor of the bill.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopt Amendment 633 to Senate Bill 190, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Amendments adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bills ordered general file.
Senate Bill 209, introduced by Senator John Yadi, Assemblyman Gonzalez and Watts, enacting to employment, requiring an employer in private employment to provide paid leave for the purpose of the employee receiving a vaccination for SARS-CoV-2, requiring an employer in private employment to allow certain uses of paid leave, requiring the Legislative Committee on Healthcare to conduct an interim study concerning the response by the state to SARS-CoV-2, and to make recommendations for legislation concerning the response of the state to future public health crises and providing otherwise properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 2.5, end of Section 2.5, end of bill.
Any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
I have Amendment 566, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Assemblywoman Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would move for the adoption of Amendment 566 to Senate Bill 209.
Assemblywoman Carlton moved that the Assembly adopt Amendment 566 to Senate Bill 209. Remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendment deletes Section 11 of Section 1 of the bill, which exempts certain employers and employees from the provisions of Section 1, and it also adds sponsors.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 566, Senate Bill 209, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bills ordered general file.
Senate Bill 222, introduced by Senator Scheibel, enacting governmental administration requiring a state agency to collaborate with minority groups and provide certain information to minority groups, requiring with certain exceptions a state agency to designate a diversity and inclusion liaison and provide the contact information for the designated diversity and inclusion liaison, requiring the Office of Minority Health and Equity of the Department of Health and Human Services, the Nevada Commission on Minority Affairs, the Department of Business and Industry, and the Office for New Americans in the Office of the Governor to facilitate an annual meeting between diversity and inclusion liaisons and minority groups and submit a report to the Governor and the Legislative Commission and providing other matters properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 14, end of Section 14, end of bill.
On amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
I have Amendment 530 proposed by the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs.
Assemblyman Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Amendment 530 to Senate Bill 222.
Assemblyman Flores has moved. The Assembly adopt Amendment 530 to Senate Bill 222. Remarks?
The amendment adds LGBTQ to the definition of minority group and defines the term LGBTQ.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 530, Senate Bill 222, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bill's ordered general file.
Senate Bill 237, introduced by Senators Harris and Shidlaw, an act relating to businesses, revising provisions relating to policies, program, and procedures intended to encourage and promote certain business enterprises to require such programs to include LGBTQ-owned businesses and providing other measures properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 7, end of Section 7, end of bill.
On amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
I have Amendment 529 proposed by the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs.
Assemblyman Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Amendment 529 to Senate Bill 237.
Assemblyman Flores has moved that the Assembly adopt Amendment 529 to Senate Bill 237. Remarks?
The amendment revises the definition of LGBTQ, distinguishes NDOT's LGBTQ-owned small business program from the Federal Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, and requires NDOT to include LGBTQ-owned small businesses in future disparity studies.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 529 to Senate Bill 237, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
The bill is ordered general file.
Senate Bill 245, introduced by Senator Lang, an act relating to employment, establishing provisions governing the exercise of jurisdiction by the Labor Commissioner over certain claims that arise under certain collective bargaining agreements, revising the definition of wages to include amounts due to certain former employees by employers who failed to pay certain wages within the periods required by law, and providing other matters properly in thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 3, end of Section 3, end of bill.
All right, amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
I have Amendment 516 proposed by the Assembly Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Assemblywoman Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would move for the adoption of Amendment 516 to Senate Bill 245.
Assemblywoman Carlton moved that the Assembly adopt Amendment 516 to Senate Bill 245. Remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I forgot which committee I was working on at the moment. I apologize. The amendment establishes a private right of action for certain claims for unpaid wages upon termination and prohibits the Labor Commissioner from exercising jurisdiction of such claims under certain circumstances.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 516 to Senate Bill 245, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bill's ordered general file.
Senate Bill 248, introduced by Senator Don Dearloop, an act relating to collection agencies, requiring a collection agency to notify a debtor before taking any action to collect a medical debt, prohibiting certain practices relating to the collection of medical debt, and providing other matters properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 10, end of Section 10, end of bill.
All right, amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
I have Amendment 515 proposed by the Assembly Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Assemblywoman Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would move for the adoption of Amendment 515 to Senate Bill 248.
Assemblywoman Carlton moved the Assembly adopt Amendment 515 to Senate Bill 248. Remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It amends the definition of medical debt, revises provisions that require a collection agency to notify a debtor before taking any action to collect a medical debt, and clarifies the prohibition that the commencement of a civil action to collect a medical debt does not prohibit the commencement of a small claims action to collect the medical debt.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 515 to Senate Bill 248, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bill's ordered general file.
Senate Bill 254, introduced by Senator Neal, an act relating to discriminatory practices, revising various provisions relating to discrimination in housing, providing civil penalties and other remedies for certain violations, authorizing the Nevada Equal Rights Commission to enter into certain agreements with the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for the Commission to investigate and enforce laws relating to fair housing as a certified agency under federal law, providing that certain conduct relating to seeking an applicant or tenant's arrest record, conviction record, or record of criminal history constitutes an unlawful discriminatory practice in housing, providing that discriminating on the basis of source of income constitutes an unlawful discrimination practice in housing and providing other measures appropriately thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 45, end of Section 45, end of bill.
On amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
I have Amendment 610 proposed by the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs.
Assemblyman Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Amendment 610 to Senate Bill 254.
Assemblyman Flores has moved that the Assembly adopt Amendment 610 to Senate Bill 254. Remarks?
The amendment removes Section 33.5.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 610 to Senate Bill 254, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Amendments adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bills ordered general fund.
Senate Bill 260, introduced by Senator Canizaro, an act relating to internet privacy, exempting certain persons and information collected about a consumer in the state from requirements imposed on operators, data brokers, and covered information, prohibiting a data broker from making any sale of certain information collected about a consumer in the state if so directed by the consumer, revising provisions relating to the sale of certain information collected about a consumer in the state, revising the circumstances under which operators of certain internet websites or online services are authorized to remedy a failure to comply with certain requirements relating to the collection and sale of certain information about consumers in the state, and providing other measures appropriately thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 12, end of Section 12, end of bill.
On amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
I have Amendment 514 proposed by the Assembly Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Assemblywoman Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would move for the adoption of Amendment 514 to Senate Bill 260.
Assemblywoman Carlton has moved that the Assembly adopt Amendment 514 to Senate Bill 260. Remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendment The amendment adds the definition of a data broker, revises provisions concerning the enforcement of the requirements imposed on operators and data brokers regarding the collection and sale of covered information for the purposes of authorizing any operator or data broker who has not previously been found to have failed to comply with such requirements, to remedy any failure to comply within 30 days after being informed of the failure. If such an operator or data broker remedies such a failure, the operator or data broker does not commit a violation for the purposes of provisions governing the enforcement of the requirements of the Attorney General. It also clarifies the exemptions specified in that subsection 1 of section 1.5 of the bill applies to any consumer reporting agency as defined by 15 U.S.C. at 1681A, paragraph F, and any personally identifiable information regulated by the Federal Fair Credit Reporting Act, 15 U.S.C. 1681, and the regulations adopted pursuant thereto, which is collected, maintained, or sold as provided by the Act. It deletes subsection 2B of section 7.5 of the bill and amends the exemption provided in section 1.5 of the bill to include a financial institution or an affiliate of a financial institution or any personal identifiable information regulated by the Federal Graham-Leach-Bliley Act, 15 U.S.C. 6801, and the regulations adopted pursuant thereto that is collected, maintained, or sold as provided in the Act. That is all.
You sure there's any more? All right. Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 514 to Senate Bill 260, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bills ordered general fund.
Senate Bill 269, introduced by Senators Keycapper and Seaver-Gansert, an act relating to insurance imposing requirements governing the recovery of overpayments under a plan that provides dental coverage, prohibiting a dental insurer or the administrator of a plan that provides dental coverage from denying a claim for which prior authorization has been granted except in certain circumstances, and providing the matters properly thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 17, end of Section 17, end of bill.
Amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
There are none. Whipping right past it. I have Amendment 631 proposed by the Assembly Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Assemblywoman Carlton.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I would move for the adoption of Amendment 631 to Senate Bill 269.
Assemblywoman Carlton has moved the Assembly adopt Amendment 631 to Senate Bill 269. Remarks?
This one's shorter. It deletes the requirement that in order to deny a claim for which prior authorization was granted because the insured was not eligible to receive the dental care for which the claim was made, the dental insurer or administrator must not have known of the eligibility status of the insured and could not have discovered the eligibility status of the insured through reasonable care, subsection 1G of section 5 and subsection 1G of section 11.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 631 of Senate Bill 269 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bills ordered general fund.
Senate Bill 294, introduced by Senator Canizaro, enacting local government's revising provisions relating to collective bargaining between local government employers and employee organizations and providing other measures properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 6, end of Section 6, end of bill.
All right, amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
I have Amendment 527, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs.
Senator Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Amendment 527 to Senate Bill 294.
Senator Flores has moved the Assembly adopt Amendment 527 of Senate Bill 294. Remarks?
The amendment clarifies a role, a second fact finder to serve as an arbitrator.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 527 of Senate Bill 294 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bills ordered general fund.
Senate Bill 327, introduced by Senators Neal and Harris, enacting discrimination, prohibiting certain types of discrimination relating to race in employment and education, revising provisions governing the authority of the Nevada Equal Rights Commission to investigate certain acts of prejudice against a person with regard to employment, revising provisions governing the procedures used by and notices given by the Nevada Equal Rights Commission, establishing certain requirements for testing which is used by a county or city for a decision regarding promotion of an employee, revising provisions governing the subjects that are subject to negotiation for certain collective bargaining agreements, revising provisions governing the policy for all school districts and schools in the state to provide a safe and respectful learning environment, establishing certain requirements for testing which is used by a school district for a decision regarding promotion of an employee, providing penalties and providing other measures properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 26, end of Section 26, end of bill.
Amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
I have Amendment 570, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Senator Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would move for the adoption of Amendment 570 to Senate Bill 327.
Senator Carlton moved the Assembly adopt Amendment 570, Senate Bill 327. Remarks?
Thank you. The amendment amends Section 8 of the bill to provide that the provisions of the section do not apply to city if, 1, the city has a civil service commission that appoints a chief examiner, and 2, the chief examiner serves at the pleasure of the commission, is not answerable to any officer or body of the city other than the commission, and is not a human resources director.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 570 of Senate Bill 327 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bills ordered general fund.
Senate Bill 349, introduced by Senators Orenthal and Scheibel, an act relating to public health, providing an ordinance for the licensing and regulating of farmers markets may not prohibit the sale of unpackaged produce at a licensed farmers market, providing that the State Board of Health or a local Board of Health may not adopt regulations that prohibit the sale of unpackaged produce at a licensed farmers market, authorizing the governing body of a county or city to allow the use of certain land for community composting, authorizing a governing body of a county or city to establish an urban composting zone, providing that a master plan adopted by a planning commission or the governing body of a county or city may include an urban composting element, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 8, end of Section 8, end of bill.
Any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
Amendment 609, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs.
Senator Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Amendment 609 to Senate Bill 349.
Senator Flores has moved the Assembly adopt Amendment 609 of Senate Bill 349. Remarks?
The amendment deletes definition of composting.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopt Amendment 609 of Senate Bill 349 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The amendment is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Bills ordered general fund.
Senate Bill 354, introduced by the Committee on Education, an act relating to education, providing for the inclusion of data to recognize public schools that reduce the frequency of suspension, expulsion, or removal of pupils from school in the statewide system of accountability, requiring the Department of Education to develop a statewide framework for restorative justice, providing for the inclusion of unaccompanied pupils and pupils in foster care in certain procedures relating to the discipline of pupils, providing for the consideration of homelessness and being in foster care in the discipline of pupils, extending the requirement to establish a plan of action based on restorative justice to the suspension and removal of pupils from public school, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 14, end of Section 14, end of bill.
Amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
I have Amendment 582, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Education.
Assemblywoman Bill Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the Assembly adopt Amendment 582 to Senate Bill 354.
Assemblywoman Bilber Axelrod move the Assembly adopt Amendment 582 to Senate Bill 354. Remarks?
Amendment 582 revises language in Section 8 and 11 relating to determining if the pupil's behavior is due to homelessness or being in foster care.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 582 to Senate Bill 354 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Amendment adopted. Any further members of the bill?
There are none.
Bills order general file.
Senate Bill 360, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs and Activating Public Employment, revising the appointment of certain members of the Board of Public Employees Benefits Program and providing the measures properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 4, end of Section 4, end of bill.
All right, members of Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
I have Amendment 526, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs.
Assemblyman Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Amendment 526 to Senate Bill 360.
Assemblyman Flores move the Assembly adopt Amendment 526 to Senate Bill 360. Remarks?
The amendment deletes most provisions of the bill and instead adds one member to the Board of the Public Employees Benefit Program who must be appointed by the governor from a list of nominations of 10 classified state employees submitted by the labor organization representing the largest number of classified state employees participating in the program.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopt Amendment 526 to Senate Bill 360 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Amendment is adopted. Any further members to the bill?
There are none.
Bills order general file.
Senate Bill 369, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary and Activating Criminal Procedure, removing the requirement that an arrested person show good cause before being released without bail, providing that a court may only impose bail as a condition of release or both on a person if the imposition is the least restrictive means necessary to protect the safety of the community and to ensure the appearance of the person in court, requiring prosecuting attorneys under certain circumstances to prove by clear and convincing evidence that the imposition of bail or a condition of release or both on a person is necessary to protect the safety of the community and to ensure the appearance of the person in court, and providing other measures properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 6, end of Section 6, end of bill.
All right, members of Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
I have Amendment 652, proposed by the Assembly Committee on Judiciary.
Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move for the adoption of Amendment 652 to Senate Bill 369.
Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson move the Assembly adopt Amendment 652 to Senate Bill 369. Remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendment does the following. It clarifies that bail may be imposed only for two purposes: to protect the safety of the community and to ensure the appearance of the accused at all stages of the proceedings, and requires a court to make findings of fact for certain determinations relating to the imposition of bail or any conditions of release or both.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of the Assembly adopting Amendment 652 to Senate Bill 369 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The amendment is adopted. Any further members to the bill?
There are none.
Bills order general file. Can we get a 1 minute recess?
1 minute recess. Yeah, no, let's just, hey, y'all, if you could take a seat, we're going to go ahead and get started. And like, I love playing whack-a-mole with you all, but if you could just not be in and off of the floor once we get started, and like hang tight for like 20 minutes, that would be awesome. Because then I have to do like order business 1, you're here, order business 1, you're not, like all of that kind of fun stuff, so. It is?
Testing.
The Assembly will come back to order. Can we go to order business 1?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under Order Business 1, may the record reflect that Assemblyman Wheeler and Assemblywoman Black are absent.
Record shall so reflect. We'll go back to order business 12.
Senate Bill 47, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs and Act relating to state securities, revising provisions relating to the issuance of certain interim debentures to fund the general operations of the state, eliminating the expiration date of provisions authorizing the issuance of such interim debentures, making certain other temporary changes relating to state security permanent, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada are represented in Senate and Assembly. Do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 5, end of Section 5, end of bill.
Are any members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks? Assemblywoman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 47 authorizes the State Board of Finance to continue to issue certain interim debentures to pay for the general operations of the state beyond the current expiration date of June 30th, 2021. The bill permits the board to issue not more than $150 million in interim expenditures if the state treasurer determines that the balance in the state general fund is insufficient to meet upcoming obligations, notifies the interim finance committee of the insufficiency in its amount, and includes a request to the IFC to allow the issuance of interim expenditures by the board. Finally, the bill authorizes the IFC to consider the request and make a determination regarding whether to approve or disapprove the request within 15 days. If the IFC does not consider or disapprove the request, the board is prohibited from issuing the interim expenditures.
Any further remarks? There being none, Chief Clerk, open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 47?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 26 ayes, 14 nays, 1 absent excused. The bill exceeds the Constitutional majority. Declare pass. Order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 54, introduced by the Committee on Natural Resources and according to, Senate Bill 50, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary and according to criminal procedure, prohibiting a magistrate from issuing a no-knock arrest warrant or search warrant except under certain circumstances requiring an arrest warrant or a search warrant to specify whether it is no-knock warrant, establishing provisions relating to the manner of execution of a no-knock arrest warrant or search warrant, revising provisions relating to the circumstances under which a summons may be issued instead of an arrest warrant, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. The people's state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 4, end of Section 4, end of bill.
I move Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
There are none.
Remarks? Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 50 prohibits the issuance of a no-knock warrant or a no-knock search warrant unless it is demonstrated via sworn affidavit that the underlying crime involves a significant and imminent threat to public safety, and that giving notice and serving a warrant is likely to create an imminent threat of death or serious bodily injury to the officers executing the warrant or to another person. The bill sets forth criteria that an application for a no-knock warrant must meet and sets forth the manner in which a no-knock warrant must be executed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Any further remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 50?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 40 ayes, 1 absent excused. Bill exceeds the Constitutional majority. Declare pass and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 54, introduced by the Committee on Natural Resources and according to Agriculture, revising the qualifications of the members of the State Board of Agriculture, increasing the membership of the board, revising certain related provisions pertaining to the board, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. The people's state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 5, end of Section 5, end of bill.
I am Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
There are none.
Remarks? Assemblywoman Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 54 revises and expands the membership of the State Board of Agriculture from 11 to 13 members. Among the revisions to the membership, they include adding a member who is a licensed veterinarian, a member working in the field of supplemental nutrition distribution, and a member engaged in food manufacturing or animal processing.
Any further remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 54?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 40 ayes, 1 absent excused. Bill exceeds the Constitutional majority. Declare pass and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 58, introduced by the Committee on Growth and Infrastructure and according to Public Safety, revising certain functions and responsibilities of the Investigation Division of the Department of Public Safety and the Chief of the Investigation Division, granting authority to the Director of the Department to authorize the Department, the various divisions of the Department, and the officers and employees of the Department to use certain designations to identify themselves, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. The people's state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 3, end of Section 3, end of bill.
Honorable members, Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
There are none.
Remarks? Assemblyman Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 58 revises the responsibilities of the Investigation Division of the Department of Public Safety to include investigations relating to technological crimes and assisting other divisions within the department.
Any further remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 58?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 40 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent. Excused. Bill MC, the Constitutional majority, declare passed and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 59, introduced by the Committee on Growth and Infrastructure, enacted into the Public Utilities Commission of Nevada, prohibiting the filing of certain memoranda in a proceeding for judicial review of a final decision of the Commission and providing other matters properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 2, end of Section 2, end of both.
All right, members of Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
There are none.
Remarks, Assemblyman Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 59 clarifies provisions related to the filing of a memoranda in a judicial review of a decision by the Public Utilities Commission.
Any further remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 59?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 32 ayes, 8 nays, 1 absent. Excused. Bill MC, the Constitutional majority, declare passed and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 60, introduced by the Committee on Growth and Infrastructure, enacted related to vehicles, revising provisions relating to applications for and the design of special license plates, requiring license plates issued for vehicles used in investigations conducted by certain governmental agencies to bear no distinguishing marks, which indicate that the vehicles are owned by a governmental entity, making information related to such vehicles confidential, revising provisions governing the issuance and renewal of certain special license plates, removing provisions relating to the distribution of certain fees from the pollution control account, revising provisions relating to the expiration of certain special permits for the movement of vehicles outside of the state, authorizing certain persons to operate a vehicle for a limited period of time without possessing a permit to operate a vehicle that is not currently registered, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 23, end of Section 23, end of bill.
All right, members of Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
There are none.
Remarks, Assemblywoman Brown-May.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 60 revises the design, process, and numbering of special license plates by the Department of Motor Vehicles. The bill also revises the process for an applicant's participation in the design of a special plate, including deadlines for the submittal and revision of a special plate design. The measure sets additional limits on the issuance and use of exempt license plates without distinguishing marks used in undercover investigations and protects the disclosure of information related to such vehicles. It increases the expiration date of a special permit from 15 to 30 days for the movement of a vehicle to sell out of state or for the movement outside Nevada of a vehicle purchased by a non-resident.
Any further remarks? There being none, Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 60?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 40 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent. Excused. Bill MC, the Constitutional majority, declare passed and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 61, introduced by the Committee on Health and Human Services, enacted relating to persons with disabilities, providing for the training of licensees under the program for the operation of vending facilities by licensees who are blind, establishing procedures for the resolution of certain disputes related to the program, revising certain terminology related to the program, revising provisions establishing a priority of right for the operation by licensees of vending facilities in or on certain public buildings and properties, authorizing the operation of vending facilities by licensees in or on buildings and properties of certain agencies, providing for the election of the Nevada Committee on Vendors Who Are Blind, and prescribing certain duties of the committee, authorizing contracts under which a licensee operates a vending facility on certain private property to provide for the payment of an incentive to the owner of the property, making certain other revisions relating to the operation of the program, adding exceptions to criminal provisions governing certain unauthorized sales, solicitations, and orders and deliveries in or on public buildings and or property, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 25, end of Section 25, end of bill.
Amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
There are none.
Assemblywoman Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 61 makes various changes to the program for the operation of vending facilities by licensees who are blind. Among other things, the bill requires the Bureau of Services to persons who are blind or visually impaired in the Rehabilitation Division of the Department of Employment, Training, and Rehabilitation to provide certain training and assistance to licensees in the program and to those who wish to become licensees.
Any
Thank
further
you.
remarks? There being none, Chief Clerk, open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 61?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Any motion to change their vote? There are 26 ayes, 14 nays, 1 absent. Excused. Bill MC, the Constitution majority, declare passed and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 63, introduced by the Committee on Natural Resources, enacted into hemp, requiring the submission of an application for registration as a grower, handler, or producer of hemp to the State Department of Agriculture on or before July 1 of any year, requiring a complete set of fingerprints to accompany an application for registration as a grower, handler, or producer in certain circumstances, setting forth certain requirements for the sampling and testing of hemp, authorizing a grower to perform remediation activities on a growing crop of hemp that has a THC concentration that exceeds federal limits to render their crop compliant, revising the circumstances under which the department is authorized to refuse to issue or renew, suspend, or revoke a registration as a grower, handler, or producer, and providing other matters appropriately in thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 4, end of Section 4, end of bill.
Any are there amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks, Assemblywoman Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 63 requires that an application for registration as a grower or handler of hemp or a producer of agricultural hemp seed be submitted to the State Department of Agriculture on or before July 1st of any year, and the applicant must submit a complete set of the applicant's fingerprints or certain information required by the department to perform a background check to verify eligibility in accordance with federal regulations, the circumstances under which the department is authorized to refuse to issue, renew, suspend, or revoke a registration as a grower, handler, or producer are revised.
Any further remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 63?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 40 ayes, 1 absent. Excused. 0 nays. Bill MC, the Constitution majority, declare passed. Order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 66, introduced by the Committee on Education, enacted into education, prescribing the duties of the Office of Science, Innovation, and Technology relating to access to the Internet and telecommunications technology for pupils, requiring the Board of Trustees of each school district and the State Public Charter School Authority to report certain information to the office, requiring the office to prepare and submit an annual report and providing other matters properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 5, end of Section 5, end of bill.
Are there amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks, Assemblywoman Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 66 requires the Office of Science, Innovation, and Technology and the Office of the Governor to develop a statewide system of gathering data related to pupil access to residential internet service and telecommunication technology accessibility as reported by the school districts and State Public Charter School Authority.
Any further remarks? Can we go to Order of Business 1 with respect to Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong?
Thank you so much. Order Business 1, may the record reflect that Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong is absent excused.
Record shall so reflect. Any further remarks on SB 66? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 66?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 35 ayes, 4 nays, 2 absent. Excused. Bill FC, the Constitution majority, declared passed and order transmitted to Senate.
Senate Bill 72, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, enacted in common interest communities, requiring a limited purpose association to comply with certain requirements relating to the establishment and foreclosure of a lien for assessments, or advising provisions relating to the imposition of fines that may be assessed for certain violations of the governing documents of a unit owners association, revising provisions relating to meetings of the executive board of a unit owners association, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 4, end of Section 4, end of bill.
Are there amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Remarks, Assemblywoman Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 72 provides that a limited purpose association must comply with requirements of the Uniform Common Interest Ownership Act pertaining to the establishment and foreclosure of a lien for assessment. Eliminates the requirement that an executive board may only meet in executive sessions with an attorney for the association on matters relating to proposed or pending litigation if the content of the discussion is protected by attorney-client privilege. It provides instead that the board may meet in executive session with an attorney on matters that are protected by attorney-client privilege.
Any further remarks? There being none, Chief Clerk, open the room.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 72?
No.
Assemblywoman Dickman has voted no.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 33 ayes, 6 nays, 2 absent. Excuse the bill. I'm see the Constitution majority. Declare pass on order transmitted to the Senate.
Senate Bill 82, introduced by Senator Ratty, and according to the Charter of the City of Sparks, revising provisions relating to when the name of a candidate must appear on the ballot in a primary or general election, clarifying the date on which an elected officer enters office and providing other matters appropriately thereto. The people stated about are represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 2, end of Section 2, end of bill.
All right, members to Section 1 of the bill as a whole.
There are none.
Remarks? Oh, is this Assemblywoman Dickman?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 82 amends the Charter of the City of Sparks to clarify the manner in which municipal candidates appear on the primary or general election ballot. If only one candidate has filed for office by the close of... Is it as echoey to you as it is to me? Can I just summarize the provisions in SB 82? Duplicate nomination procedures already set forth in Nevada revised statutes or other nonpartisan offices.
Any further remarks? There being none, Chief Clerk, open the room.
Assemblywoman Dickman, how do you vote on Senate Bill 82?
I vote yes.
Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 39 ayes, 0 nays, 2 absent. Excuse the bill. I'm see the Constitution majority. I declare pass on order transmitted to the Senate.
Mr. Speaker.
Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. I think that we're about done for the day here. So if I would move that all bills on general file be taken from general file and be placed onto general file for the next legislative day.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We now go to order business 13. There being no objection, the Speaker and the Chief Clerk will sign Assembly Bills 2, 13, 14, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 28, 38, 47, 48, 59, 63, 68, 69, 70, 73, 76, 77, 96, 119, 123, 154, 157, 171, 173, 188, 217, 281, 308, 338, 403, 406, 417, 442, Assembly Joint Resolution 10, Assembly Resolution 6, and Senate Bills 8, 9, 19, 32, 41, 42, 62, 122, 146, 148, 156, 161, Senate Joint Resolutions 6, 7, and 11, and Senate Concurrent Resolutions 5 and 8. With that, we will go to order of business 15. Assemblywoman Kasama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order of Business 15.
Order of Business 15.
Last week on May 12th, the Serenity Birth Center had its ribbon-cutting ceremony in my district, District 2. It is the first and only freestanding obstetric center in Nevada, open in partnership with the University Medical Center of Southern Nevada. Studies show that birth centers have been shown to improve maternal and newborn outcomes in at-risk populations, and I am so thrilled that even with the economic hardships we have faced over this pandemic, they were able to open their doors. I would like to take this time to recognize April Clyde, the owner of the Serenity Birth Center, as well as all of the people who made the opening possible. Genevieve Burkett, Katrina Harden-James, Hannah Harris, Carol Reddick, Cheryl Rude, Kaylee Sapp, Sarah Slobody, and Malia Smiley. I congratulate all of you on this incredible achievement that improves options in childbirth choices for Southern Nevada families. I have issued this proclamation in your honor and look forward to visiting it to you in person when I arrive back in Las Vegas. Thank you.
Assemblywoman Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today is the 10th annual Global Accessibility Awareness Day, which is a day to promote awareness and commitment to inclusion so that people with disabilities are able to experience web-based services, content, and other digital products with the same successful outcomes as those without disabilities. And this is especially important, as we know, as we navigate our new virtual existence that we're still kind of using and starting to use more and more now. So here at the Nevada Legislature, we're working hard to be accessible to all Nevadans. We have made many changes to our website, including making sure documents are in plain text, which is easier for Braille readers, for readers who are blind to utilize. We are striving to get better when it comes to accessibility and have asked the members of the disability community to let us know what is working and what is not working so that everyone can have the best experience possible with our website, testifying before our committees, communicating with legislators, and being in the building with our new automatic doors at the main entrance. Thank you.
Thank you. Assemblymember Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to take a brief moment to wish a very happy 48th anniversary to my mom and dad, Carol and Tom Matthews, back in Freetown, Massachusetts, where I grew up, and to say how blessed and grateful I am to have such amazing and wonderful and supportive parents. So, Mom, Dad, a happy anniversary. Thank you for being the greatest parents anyone could ask for, and I love you more than words can say. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Assemblyman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A couple weeks ago, we had Mother's Day, and I had planned to have my mother come up and be a part of the session, take her to Tahoe, and just show her Northern Nevada. We weren't able to make that happen, but she was able to come with her sister today and visit me. So I just think every day is a good day to celebrate moms. So if you guys would please join me in just celebrating my mother, Tanya, and her sister, my auntie, Debbie, straight out of Compton, Speaker. Y'all are going to love that. Anyways, thank you, Mom. I love you, Auntie. Happy Mother's Day, belated.
Assemblywoman Nguyen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order of Business 15.
Order of Business 15.
It is still May and it is still Asian American Pacific Islander month. And so today I did want to celebrate an amazing Vietnamese American. She's probably one of the most empowering, compassionate, and kind people I know. I have the privilege to be related to her, and today happens to be her 40th birthday. She is an amazing teacher. She is doing life-changing work as an educator, and I know that she's playing an important role in helping me raise my own children. So if I could just wish my sister Ming a very happy 40th birthday.
Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Seeing no other business before the body, I would move that the Assembly stand adjourned until Friday, May 21st, 2021 at the hour of 11:30 a.m.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned.